Hi guys, it's Jessica here with a video for you guys. I wanted to do the BJD in the past tag. I'm going to be working on some crafting, sewing stuff while I do it. I have a lot of little hand sewing and I need to dress some dolls and things like that, so I figured, why don't I just do the tag while I'm doing that. We'll see how much I do. Sometimes I'll just start talking and then stare at the screen and not do what I was going to do. But we'll see how this goes. First of all, though, I wanted to thank you guys very, very much for all the kind and wonderful messages that you sent me yesterday. Very much appreciate it. And I read every one. I haven't had a chance to respond individually to people yet, but thank you very much. Yesterday I was quite miserable. Just did not feel great at all. Kind of just took a bunch of pain medicines and slept a lot. So, but the good news is that today I do feel a lot better. And if I had to go to work, I probably would have been okay. But I'm glad that I went ahead and scheduled it off. So just to get a little extra rest in. Excuse me. I won't be getting results in, they said 5 to 6 days for results on the biopsy. And you know, Christmas is on Monday, and then the week after that will be New Year's holiday. So I know with holiday stuff that I may be in for a longer wait. So in some ways, if the longer I wait, the more at this point that I start to think it's probably okay. Because when they call you back right away, that's when it's like, oh shit. That's been my experience. They don't call you back right away to tell you it's okay. So we'll see. You know, it's the waiting game. That's how these things go. And I've been through them before. And I honestly do think I'm better at coping with it and trying to direct my energies into positive things. You know, it's hard. It takes a lot of discipline and you do have to try. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the tag, and I'm going to be working on this corset. I'll go ahead and show you. It's I'll just hold it on her. There might be some doll nudity. There will be some doll nudity. So if you're at the gym or something, or someone's looking over your shoulder, gonna think weird stuff. So this is my little Constantine doll on the Doll Pam Loli body, which is the most freaking adorable thing ever. I'm working on this corset. I made a lot of adjustments along the way because I really want it to show her little individual curves. I mean, she's just got a very interesting shape, and most clothes just kind of cover that up and you don't get to see it. So I'm really trying to put some effort into making sure that you can see those cute curves. So I've got the machine sewing part done. I had started to put the ribbon on the front, and I'll probably do some beading, and there's going to be 3 or 4 layers of lace. So there's several more hours of hand sewing work to do on this. So I'll be working on that. But first I'm putting this, this is a, oh, come here little girl, you're just all messed up. So this is my Doll Zone Wendy. She was painted by Miss Mantis, and I'm putting this Blythe corset on her. It's a Rauch and Blythe corset. It doesn't really fit great. I'm going to put it on her. Eventually I'll make her one too. This will be the tiniest one yet that I've tried, but eventually I'll make her her own. So then this is what I do. I think it makes these little tiny eyelets. You can just see how tiny those are. So tiny. So I use a big, this is actually a leather needle, so it's got really big, a really big eyelet, so you can put ribbon through it nicely, but it still fits through the eyelets. So, okay, so I will, the BJD in the past tag, I'm like 5 minutes in, I haven't started the tag. BJD in the past tag, this was made by AG Dolls Down Under. And I encourage you to follow her channel. I will try to remember to leave a link below. She's AG Dolls Under for American Girl Dolls Down Under. She is getting into some BJDs too, and she's got a lovely, lovely doll leaves girl that she's been customizing. So I really highly encourage you to follow her. She's doing some really cute stuff. And the AG, when I first saw her name, I have to admit, AG, the first thing I thought was ag. So I thought agricultural dolls under, and I was like, well, that's kind of different. And I'm like, oh, it's American Girl. But in my world, ag is a common abbreviation for agriculture. So like ag animals and ag medicine. So yeah, so that's led me to some confusion. But let me string this little tiny eyelet. You guys can watch me struggle with my little tiny things. Okay, first question. As a kid, did you play with dolls? If yes, what doll was your pride and joy? If no, what toy did you play with most? So, no, I did not play with dolls as a kid. I was very anti-doll. I hate to say that, but I was very, I did not like baby dolls. All through my early childhood, my grandparents predominantly bought me baby dolls, and I didn't like them. I was afraid of them. I would, I'd go to visit my grandma, and she'd put all these baby dolls on the bed that me and my sister were going to sleep in, and I had to go and put those baby dolls in the closet before, and I would just grab them, throw them in the closet, and slam it and run away, because they just were creepy and scary to me. I was very, very creeped out. I even had a Raggedy Ann doll, and I liked her. I did. I didn't mind her, but I remember this, and I had to have been super young. I mean, my sister was still a baby, and I think I was 3.5 or 4, because it was when my parents were still together, so I would have been very young. But I had this memory of going into our bedroom, and there was the dresser, and then the Raggedy Ann doll was on top of the dresser, outlined by the window. And I came in, and it was dark, but she was outlined from the light from outside, and just scared the poop out of me. I think I did the same thing too. I turned on the light, grabbed her, and threw her in the closet. So that's what happened to baby dolls when I was a little girl. My sister and my mom were Barbie doll people, and my mom really liked the vintage Barbie dolls, and my sister was really into Barbie dolls, so it was this kind of thing that they kind of had together, and I always felt, kind of jealous, because I wanted to like it too, so that I could, do this thing with them that was the special thing. But so I did have some Barbie dolls, and would go when they used to go to estate sales or whatever to look for vintage Barbie dolls, and so I would go and things, and I did kind of like the vintage Barbie dolls a little bit, but it was mostly, I did it because I wanted to be involved with my with my mom and my sister. So, but I didn't really like the dolls. I had a few. I did have a few, but yeah. I had them, and I would play with my sister with them occasionally. She had like this trunk full of them. She had this old vintage trunk just crammed full of Barbie dolls. There had to have been 20 or 30 Barbie dolls in there. And they just weren't my thing. I liked my stuffed animals. I had lots of stuffed animals. I loved stuffed animals. Even when I got a little older, I still liked them quite a lot. But I played with a lot of non-traditional girl toys. I loved Transformers. I had so many Transformers. And they, so they were all Gen 1 Transformers, and, I remember, going through, because I was born in 76, so, I was elementary school, those early 80s, when Transformers were just, amazing. The Gen 1s, there's just no comparing. The Gen 1s were so great, and I absolutely loved them. And so the way it was in the 80s was every toy line pretty much had a cartoon. So some of them were Saturday morning cartoons that only came on Saturday. Some of them were played in the afternoons, so when you get home from school. So Transformers was one of those. G.I. Joe, She-Ra, and He-Man. Those are some of the big memories. Maybe a little later, when I was maybe in 5th grade, there was Silverhawks. And I played with all of those. My little brother, collected the He-Mans, and I collected the She-Ra dolls. The She-Ra dolls so I guess those are dolls. I know they consider them action figure, but the She-Ra dolls, they had rooted hair, they had painted faces, they were, I don't think, they had like hard plastic bodies and vinyl heads, so I guess that's kind of the same way that Barbie dolls. The plastic was slick though, so they were really easy to dress. They didn't have those sticky Barbie legs. I had Care Bears and My Little Ponies. The My Little Ponies and the Care Bears played together and made like saddles and bridles and all kinds of things for the Care Bears to ride the My Little Ponies. So this is all through my childhood. There was different phases when different toys were popular and available and the cartoon was on. So I'm sure I could go back and do a timeline of when was what. I did have some Strawberry Shortcake dolls early in the 80s. I didn't like them as much. They just weren't appealing to me. I just wasn't into that super. Well, I mean, I liked Care Bears and Gen 1 My Little Ponies, but the Strawberry Shortcake dolls, I wasn't very interested. But yeah, I played with boy and girl toys. It didn't matter to me. I really didn't get I didn't have a lot of problem with it. As far as people, saying, oh, you can't play with that because it's a boy toy, or that's for girls, or that's for girls and that's for boys, that kind of thing. Every once in a while, a kid would try to say something, and it's just, I'm telling you, I was cool. I was one of the cool kids, and it was like really going to take me on. So I really didn't have a lot of problem that way. I have to say. But yeah, it didn't matter to me if it was boy or girl. I had enough confidence in myself that whatever I did was fine. And everyone around me towed the line. But I do know that other girls maybe had a harder time if they were interested in boy traditional toys. So, which is really unfortunate. And I think it's better nowadays. I don't think that that is such a big deal. It does still kind of bother me when I go into like Toys R Us or something and the girl stuff is just so, like, it's just everything has to be neon pink. It's like the girls section is like glowing pink, and it's like, is that really necessary? I don't know. If they like it, if the kids like it, that's fine. But that was exactly what I didn't like. Like My Little Ponies and Care Bears, they were different. There was plenty of pastels and pinks and that sort of thing, but yeah, there was this level of detail to them. What toy did you play with the most? So through growing up as a child, I would say that probably my number one most treasured toys were my Transformers. And I would tie this together. I think the reason that ball jointed dolls work so well for me is because Transformers had great mobility. I mean, they could do all kinds of things. They transformed. And I feel like ball jointed dolls are in that realm. And just the customization and all of that. But yeah. Here, let me put her aside and okay. Second. You know what I forgot? Breyer Horses. Me and my sister, we both collected Breyer Horses, and we had, between the two of us, we had quite a few. My memory, when I was a little girl, there was a teenage girl that lived next door to my grandma, and I can't remember her name, but she had like this bookcase just crammed full of Breyer Horses, and as a little girl, you know, probably 6, 7, something around there, that was like so, like, just to go and see that. And she would actually like take some down and let us, you know, play with them and touch them a little bit. Not very much, only certain ones. But she had a horse named Honey, and she had that huge Breyer horse collection, and she was literally the most coolest person I ever had met at that point in my little life. I was just so like, oh, I want to be like her, and I just can't even remember her name now, but I remember her horse. Her horse was Honey, and she was a bay. She was probably like a stock horse or quarter horse mix or of some kind. She was beautiful. She was so pretty. But okay, there's going to be a lot of rambling. This is going to be a super long video. So if you like super long videos, this is for you. Let's see. And this is what I'm working on. I'm sewing on the first thing of lace, and there'll be, of course, another one on this side. And yeah, like I said, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 layers of lace that I have to sew on. So the second question is, do you remember the kind of games you played with your toys? And yeah, I do. I made things. I made things. I would sew like mostly like little blankets and things. I made saddle blankets and bridles for the horses. Me and my sister, we used to play veterinary hospital, actually, and I was always the veterinarian. I do remember that part, that I was always the veterinarian, and the stuffed animals would be our patients, and my sister would come in and be, oh, my dog has a hurt leg, and I would draw an x-ray of a broken bone. This is all probably, ages 6, 7, 8, that sort of age, and my sister was a year and a half younger than me. But recently, my grandma found those again, and the pictures of the broken bone x-rays that I would draw. But the stuffed animals would be all bandaged head to toe. They just had all kinds of random bandages on them. Yeah, I wanted to be a veterinarian since I first had the concept of what a veterinarian was, which was probably about 5 years of age. And of course, a lot of little girls especially say they want to be a veterinarian, so everyone just, thought it was that. But no, I was serious. I don't really remember like making a lot, stories for my dolls at that point or anything. I did, my best friends going through grade school, I did have some girlfriends, but most of my best friends were always boys. So we would play cars and make tracks in the mud and little racetracks for them and that sort of thing. So those are a lot of my memories about what I did, playing with toys. I played my little brother. I would play toys with him, like play fight and things like that. Yeah, it was cute. He collected, it just went out of my, Thundercats. He had a huge collection of Thundercats, and I loved them. I never got them for myself. I'm not sure why, because I liked them, and I would play with them with my little brother. That was another one of those, that had a Saturday afternoon cartoon. You come home and watch after school, and then they had the toy line to go with it, and so they had they had stories, they had characters, they had stories, and that was, I guess, what we played, was with their stories and the shows that they had. So yeah. Oh, I've got a knot. Okay, right back. So I've gone up the one edge with tiny little stitches, and now I'm going to go down the other edge with tiny little stitches, and repeat that about 50 million times. But I actually enjoy this. It's just very kind of soothing and meditative, and the more of those kinds of things I can do, the better. It helps with my mental well-being. I need to be able to do these things. Okay. Number 3, were there any dolls or toys that you loved before BJDs? And I just talked about that at length. And I wonder if they mean things that you collected as an adult. And not really. I think I briefly got a few Gen 3, Gen 3 My Little Ponies, because they were pretty cute. But I just a few, and I wasn't super into like making a big collection. So no, ball jointed dolls. I first got into the hobby, how old would I have been? I'm 41 now. So I think I was like 38 or something when I first got into BJDs. Number 4, did you have a story before your dolls? And yeah, definitely. That is the reason that I got into ball jointed dolls, was for my stories and for my characters. You know, that was the primary reason for getting into them. And all the things that came, everything else came second to that. So learning to customize, learning to sew, all the different aspects of things you can do in the hobby, making eyes, making clothes, making wigs, face-ups, that all came later, and more of a, and I honestly, when I first got into the hobby, I didn't have an intention of doing those things. You know, my intention was to buy everything and just try to make them look as much like my characters as possible, or to be inspired as much as possible by my characters, I guess. So yeah, that all that fun stuff came later, and I don't think I could have anticipated how much I would enjoy it. I did not start doing a lot with my dolls as far as customizing themselves and myself and working on things for them until, you know, I think my first DOA membership was June 2014, and it wasn't really until spring, summer of 2015 that I started doing stuff. I was going through some health problems that really limited my time and energy, and two, what time I did have at that point, I was working on my digital art, which had been my main hobby for the past 10 years, is digital illustration. But that was part of my health problems that I was having. Looking at screens and working on computer screens was one of the big problems I was having. It was triggering migraines, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And thank goodness that dolls were there. It took me a while. I mean, I really, really mourned the loss of this thing that was very important to me. My digital illustration, it was very, very important to me. And dolls eventually came to replace that. I went from a digital life to an analog life, I like to say. And the computer screens are still an issue, and I just have to limit computer stuff. Even at work, I hate looking at monitors, and I bought different glasses and stuff, and I'd like to say that they help maybe a little, but it's not enough for me to be able to go back to digital illustration like I used to do. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I had stories before my dolls. I just go on all kinds of tangents. Number 5, if you could change anything you did in the past that's BJD related, what would you do? My words of wisdom to my past self would have been to look into dealers a lot more. There's a lot of perks to ordering through dealers, and sometimes things like discounted shipping, layaway orders. You can do layaway orders through them that maybe the company itself doesn't offer, and if you're doing a layaway, a lot of companies won't start working on your doll until your layaway is complete and you finish paying for it. So if you have a 6-month layaway and it takes them another 6 months to make your doll, you know, you're going to be a year out. But a lot of dealers, and I believe Alice's Collections, I'm pretty sure Mint on Card does this, BJD Divas does this. I don't know about Denver dolls. I don't know. I think so too. Maybe it depends. I have not done a layaway through Denver dolls, so I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's something that I would really like to have known. And just the fact that a lot of them have in-stock dolls, and a lot of times that would have been a really great option for dolls that, like, especially Doll Chateau dolls, you know, at the time, I just remember wanting them so badly, but the concept of waiting 7 to 8 months for the doll was just beyond me at the time. Now it's like, oh, nothing. But at the time, that was like, no. Yeah, so looking at dealers, they could really help you out. Events, that's another thing, is that I would have paid more attention to events and ordering during event periods, all kinds of things, free dolls, all kinds of things that really, lots of perks, and could save you quite a bit of money. They'll have discounts. A $700 doll might be on sale for $400. So yeah, like I'm talking about Dulce right there. Yeah, like 25% off is pretty big chunk. So what else would I tell for me? I feel like there's something else that I can't think of anything else. I would be a lot more careful as a seller. That's before I agree to things like layaways and letting people do layaways, I would be a lot more strict about the terms, and just plain not doing layaways with people that don't have good feedback. Like, it's just doesn't matter how much you want to sell that doll. just you know, really take your time to check their feedback, and you know, you have the right to say no. You just do. You have, just because somebody says, oh, I want to do this layaway and this is what I want to do, that doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? Which sounds pretty silly and obvious, but yeah. Don't let desperation to sell a doll push you into maybe a bad situation. So okay, this video is really long. I bet you, I don't know, I could pause it a few times, maybe it's 30 minutes. But I'll go ahead and cut it off here, and I didn't get very far, did I? Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're having a great Wednesday, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.